Hey, good morning, y'all. I'm trying to set this thing up in look at me. I'm trying to set this thing up in the stand because right now you probably won't be able to see what I'm doing, but I am putting shingles on my granddaughter's dollhouse. And I think that I might actually be running out of shingles. So, I've taken most of the weekend off to just chill because we had this big snowstorm coming, supposedly. And so we said, hey, and Danya, I'm putting shingles on my granddaughter's dollhouse. So that's why I'm not going to be looking too much at, hey, how you doing? Hey, Melody. And so I've been dollhousing and doing different stuff in the house all weekend, which is good because sometimes during the week I just don't get a chance to do this type of stuff. And as usual, this time of year, the store is slow because everybody's trying to recover from the holidays. But there are some things that I wanted to talk to you guys about as far as magic is concerned, because I think that too often, first of all, our approach to practicing magic is often colored by popular culture and the things of, I got this at Hot Topic, this nose ring. I think that we aren't really, when personal accountability comes into magic in the movies, somebody has done something really egregious and has to suffer and pay for it. But magic isn't like what they show you guys in the movies. Magic is science, it's faith, it's believing in the elements and the energy and the creator of this earth, and the creators, because the creator has other spirits that help to manifest things. And what I found is, I think that many of us, like I said, I'm dollhousing. That's why I'm not looking at the camera. A lot of us don't realize, due to the fact that, like, for example, they'll say that a lot of black teachers don't exist, and that's simply not true, because Lord knows, every time I turn around, somebody's offering some type of class here online. But the more so that even if if there's not a teacher, that the information is not to be found, you got to think about where the term witch doctor came from. It didn't come from Europe. You got to understand that we've been doing this for quite some time. And just because we were not allowed to read and write in English has nothing to do with the fact that, language came out of Africa. And so for me, I'm a former college professor, English professor, as a matter of fact, where I taught business writing to a bunch of millennials. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, and I don't know, I think maybe it is because I thought the internet would make us smarter. When I'm on Facebook, I'm not just on Facebook, I'm bouncing off of articles and things like that people who share my interests, both politically, faith, and just, even with hobbies, post. I think it's an excellent place for you to get information. And so therefore, I do online learning. I design online courses for a living. I have done so for 20 years now. But I think that there is, and it always has been, because of the way we've been programmed, the idea of associating written word with Europeans and our approach to the written word. Now, there is absolutely nothing wrong in this world with African vernacular English. I am a code switcher myself, but also there's nothing wrong with reading. I understand people have too much information, but the ability to be discerning when you receive said information seems to be a real issue. Like, I had an issue with a potential student recently where they went on my website, saw the calendar first, and booked a session, but hadn't paid for it. Okay. So this person, after I'd spoken to them originally about how to sign up for different things, and that's up to you, whether you want a mentoring session or you want to take a class. I can't tell you what's for you. The only time I do a divination to see if you should be my student is when we're dealing with the weekend course. Because I really want to get the right types of people in the Hoodoo 101 intensive, because you're learning how to make your own magical items. And that also has certain responsibilities. And, you know, it's no secret. A lot of people will take my class one week and then have their magical business up the next. I think if that's what you want to do and if that's your passion, go for it. I'm hoping that what people learn from me not only will enable them to have their own magical practice, but, you know, possibly, you know, if I ever get a physical location, some of my students, I know I would be very happy and feel good about buying their products from my store. So the reality of the matter is, but in order to be my student, you know, and I'd rather not, if I haven't researched something as well as I want to, or finished a book for something, I'm not going to teach a class on it. Okay. There's a lot of classes that are in my head that I just simply, hi B, hi Yvette. There are a lot of classes in my head, and I'm dollhousing today. I'm putting shingles on the dollhouse. I really think I'm going to run out, and then I'm going to have to talk to the manufacturer of the dollhouse. And he's really, I didn't like the way he was flirting with my oldest child, even though she's not a child anymore. I'm like, you dirty ass, old ass white man. But in any case, going to have to contact their company and get some more shingles, which pisses me off because I could have this dollhouse finished. But one of the things in dollhouse design is you got to follow the directions. Okay. And so if you miss something in dollhouse design, like I don't know what happened when they put this together, but there's a room divider, and now that my daughter and one of her friends put this dollhouse together, this room divider doesn't fit in the house. Well, it's too small of a house anyway. If I show it to you, it's better to do it open concept. Okay. But not following directions, definitely in dollhousing, will get you hosed. And not following directions in magic. So it's really telling to me, especially for applications for the Black Psychics Association, in people who are seeking to schedule readings and classes with me, you know, if they don't follow directions. Critical thinking is no longer taught in schools, but as parents, we should be instilling those things ourselves. But if you never learned how to critically think yourself, that could be a problem. And so my whole thing is, and I ask, because, you know, I'm human, I can make mistakes. I try not to, but it happens when I put up information on my website as far as how to, schedule a session, how to, pay for that session. 99% of individuals will go and register and do exactly as the website says, and then have their session, whether it's magical mentoring, a divination, scheduling a class. One of the things that I had to do was I accidentally sent, for whatever reason, the system malfunctioned, the wrong link for our first bone reading class to my students. And, you know, my first assumption was y'all don't read. And so, but in that particular case, the link was no longer working. But I do try to really hard to be very clear in my instruction. Why? Because it's really important when you're in magic that you pay attention to what you got to be doing. I mean, to me, it's really important in everything, but in anything dealing with spirit and magic, this is not Bewitched. You know, you be surprised how many people will initiate spell work and haven't done a divination. And sometimes that's not necessary, but in cases where you're doing some real serious stuff, I suggest you do so. but they don't know the property of the herbs and the roots that they're using, or just different things that are available free, things that are available. And my thing is, no, you can't trust everything on the internet. Hell, you can't even trust everything in all books. You see how they lie in the history books that they give our kids at school. However, you read enough, your bullshit detector will pop off. And hi, Letitia. Your bullshit detector will pop off. But that means you have to read. That means you have to read a number of things. That's why this type of thing, no matter what type of magical practice you are part of, requires some form of study. Now, there are people who believe they are natural witches and they don't have to study and they work by spirit. They still have to work. You still have to be able to read your spirit and follow that to the exact terms of what they're telling you to do. Very few people have that ability. So, in the case of somebody who registers for an appointment prior to making payment, now I kind of understand in a situation where you have paid for it, maybe you might be having some technical difficulty scheduling it, but in that case, you have still followed the directions. And it is. And the more and more I learn, especially from my spiritual mother, about how this stuff works and, timing and cycles and all of that good stuff, people need to pay attention. I find I'm going to start this thing called Failure Fridays in my customer group, where you've done work. And hold on a second, because I need to get some more glue, and I'm really running out. E6000 is your friend. All I have left is white. Oh, I found the silicone. Yay! Been looking for this. Silicone liquid nails are usually the best and least sloppy to put anything together, because this is what happens with E6000. And E6000 does not taste good. Don't ask me how I know this. But in any case, you got situations where people say they want to learn, and then I tell them very, very, very as politely as I possibly can that for me it is probably best that you understand what type of teacher I am. I can't speak to other people who teach people things about divination and conjure. A book is great because you can sit and digest it at your own, in your own time without being questioned about your knowledge and whatnot. I can't have a pair of scissors in this house that work to save my life. I'm going over here to get a box cutter. So in any case, people, they just, but when you're working with a teacher and a teacher gives you instruction, and I tell people, it's good to have an electronic grimoire. I just had another student who lost her notes, from a class, and I don't give out I don't pass out my outlines for my class. I don't give written materials. I try to stick as close as possible to the, some amazing stories when stuff goes wrong. Yes, So yeah, I'm going to start having this thing called Failure Fridays in my group so that people can examine like when they executed spell work and when they felt like it went wrong. A lot of times people think spell work went wrong, and that's not the case. It's that it manifested the way it was supposed to, just not the way they wanted it to. And a lot of times I find that is the case when people are very unclear about their intention. So, magic is a lot of things. It's faith. It's intention, primarily. Its ingredients, and it is ritual. And depending on what deity you're working with and what ritual you're doing, there are certain things that have to be followed. Now, if you're one of those types of people who doesn't like that type of thing, that's great. And if you're one of those types of people who don't like to be, because let me tell you something, I get corrected by my mumbo all the time. Sometimes I don't feel maybe that I'm necessarily wrong, but I still will heed said correction because there's something to be learned from everything. Okay? And so, it's always very telling for me if I tell a student, look, it's very important that you read. The information was given to you on the website. I'm trying to figure out where you were unclear about what you were supposed to do. I don't know about you, especially like with my children. It's like if I tell you something, if I've taught you something, or if you've been taught something, it's very clear. Like, for example, you have a command of the English language and you understand me, then yeah, the next time I got to talk to you about it is going to be a problem. So I'm not really understanding. And see, in 2019, I realized that there is a shift that I have to make. Thank you. I got them at Costco. I got to get some more. These damn things don't want to stay on my face. In 2019, I said, how can I be less frustrated and not have interactions with people online that I would not have in my ordinary life? There are certain people that are a joy to have around. They don't cause frustration. They're helpful. You want to help them. They want to help you. And that's pretty much what I expect from my family. I've got to give you all this talk I promised the other day about love languages because my daughters really acted a fool with each other yesterday. And people have to understand when you say things and do things, sometimes you can't take things back. And it's really important when you're trying to make an impression on somebody you want to learn from. And this has nothing to do with feeling like I know everything. This is how I have to operate in order for things to go smoothly for me, for my business, and for my own peace of mind. And you know what? Like Maya says, when people show you who they are, we really got to be better about believing them the first time. So if you don't like stress and you don't like people that don't follow directions, you don't have to take them as clients or students. Sometimes I'll have people, not just in magic, like in craft groups and photography groups that I used to be a part of when I was a photographer, talking about problem clients. But what I can tell you is there was always an indication when that client walked in the door or went in your inbox, And so I just told the person who didn't read the instructions, look, you might want to reconsider scheduling this session with me. Not being mean, but I said, I'm very strict when it comes to following directions. I have to have boundaries in order to continue to have joy sharing this practice with other people, and sharing even voodoo with other people. You got to establish the parameters to begin with. So like pricing, so that people, when they initially ask and they say they're interested, can't go back later and be like, oh, I didn't know. Yeah, you knew. And so that's why I try to do about everything, not just money. If you can't follow directions and you don't read carefully, and that has become a problem. I'm a speed reader, so I've actually had that happen to myself several times. And I realized how it was doing me a disservice sometimes by trying to ingest something quickly and act on it. So even though I'm older, I'll be 50 this year, I realized that things don't need to be immediately acted upon. Sometimes it's better for you to just take a minute, read things, digest things, and make sure you understand them before you jump. That helps people, like when people are trying to choose a path religiously or spiritually. I'm like, look, take your time. Read everything you can about it. Talk to people in the different faiths that you are part of, or you want to be a part of, or you're considering. Because you will find that you are going to make a more balanced decision rather than an emotional one. A lot of people make emotional decisions about joining African traditional religions because it's the first thing they've come across after leaving the church. And sometimes they get hooked up into some nonsense and some foolishness. When I started practicing voodoo, I wasn't looking for nothing. I was cool, but it came to me naturally. It came to me organically. It was a fit. I was not disenchanted with the church. In fact, the more I learned about voodoo and African traditional religions is what disenchants me from the church, simply because there are things that are part of the church that are absolutely beautiful, but there is a whole bunch of things that defy logic. And I had to find that out on my own. And I don't get to read and study as much as I used to. But, and that's what I'm finding. I'm finding that a lot of us, especially because we're reading online, we're not reading books like we used to. I know I'm not. I'm spending my reading hours. So I've been really happy because my iPhone actually shows me the changes in my screen time. And every week for the past few weeks, since the beginning of the new year, it has shown me that my online time has decreased, like by 25% each week. Okay, which is good, because that means I'm doing other things like my dollhouse or taking my classes, my online time on my phone. Like sometimes I'm working, so that may mean I'm working on my computer more. That may mean I'm watching my classes on my TV and on my Roku instead of on my phone. But I'm on it less. At night, I'm going to bed, even though the wormhole of information that I could stay up all night looking at still exists. I resist the wormhole and I try to get more rest. What I found is it makes me pay more attention to what I'm doing when I'm not tired. And like I said, it's very, very, very important that if you're going to practice magic, you're not just paying attention to the mundane things like reading, okay? You are paying attention and you are hypersensitive to your surroundings, okay? It's going to make you a better practitioner when you do that, okay? You're going to get more cognitive of the things that you're doing. So, whether it's online, whether it's in a book or whatever it is, you should be accountable. I'll give you another example. Somebody who's on my Facebook friends list, and I make the assumption, and assumptions are not always good, that if you're on my friends list, usually it's because of some magical purposes. There's not a lot of people on my profile that aren't seeking teachers or already involved in the craft or something like that. People who are interested. People don't just randomly choose me to be their Facebook friend. So I get this message this morning that I got a message from you that says that I got an additional friend request from you. And I'm like, no, you didn't. Because if that was the case, my inbox would be flooded with messages from people talking about, did you get a new profile? So what these people are doing and continuing to spread ignorance is they're not reading what they're sending. They just say, oh, there's some fuckery going on the internet, and because I care, I guess, I need to let people know about this. No, you don't. Because it's not true. And that's the thing. It's like, why would you send me something? So, like, I asked the person, I'm like, you didn't get another friend request from me. You just forwarded some bullshit, and I don't like forwards. Why would you send this to me? And this person's reply was they didn't understand the message. And I'm like, how do you not understand the message? Did you not read what you sent to me before you sent it to me? And it's clear the answer was no. Or they didn't care. And people don't understand that a lot of times this inbox is used for people who are seeking spiritual assistance, whether it's paid or unpaid. There are a lot of people that are struggling out here who don't have any money, who I talk to in the inbox, and I use this for business purposes. If it wasn't for business, I wouldn't be on Facebook, because it's a depressing place to be. I mean, you got to understand. I mean, you got every angst and every problem of the entire world is being presented for us via social media. And that's why you'll see a lot of cat and dog videos and stuff. And yeah, I will talk about things that bother me, but I can't be all negative to the point where, like something like this, where working on my hobbies and being offline is a thing, you know, and out of the norm. It's not good to live like that. However, if you're going to be out here in these internet streets, be responsible, magically especially, okay? And read. And don't send people stuff, and don't do things without paying attention first. Because, like I said, in 2019, I'm not good. It used to be when I first started teaching, I felt like I had to teach any black person that came along. That I owed it to the ancestors to teach as many people as possible what I knew. Get them started. Because, like I said, every day I learn more and more what I don't know. And that's a good thing. Because that means that my purpose on this earth is not fulfilled. And when I know everything I'm supposed to know, then it's going to be time for me to go to paradise. To be with my ancestors in Ganin. Until then, I want to keep learning. But that does involve learning, involves reading. It just doesn't involve action. People get this thing where, oh, I don't have to read on a whole bunch of shit. And I'm just trying to figure out where they do that at. I want to understand where reading has become such a bad thing. You know, and how me as an instructor, when someone doesn't read, how that becomes, oh, she's a meanie. When I say, nah, you might want to rethink being my student because I'm going to require you to read stuff. And I'm not going to, like, you know, I'm supposed to have a meeting with some friends of mine who were studying this book. And unfortunately, I haven't had time to read this book as much as I wanted to. All of the little vehicles I think that are going to help me to read better, like Kindle and stuff, doesn't create time. You know, right. If I go up into somebody's house, I remember I went up to these people's house years ago, and, you know, they were only other black people in our apartment complex. We're out in Naperville, Illinois, and they were one of the few black couples that actually spoke to us, and, you know, we became social with. And I went to their house and they had no books. And I just noted it personally. I just was like, where's y'all's books? I see y'all got TV and, you know, where's your library? And they didn't have one. And no, we did not stay friends because their ignorance was demonstrated pretty quickly on some mundane stuff. It wasn't even anything that required any type of scholastic acumen. They're just ignorant as fuck. And so when I go to somebody's house and it's clear that they don't read anything, you know, it's like, yeah, and so, you know, and Danya's like, you know, she knows her boundaries. She does the tiny house stuff. I'm about to run out of these shingles, y'all. I'm about to be salty AF, okay? I'm really mad about this because I know that it's going to take a minute to get the rest of them. And I guess we'll have to do the rest of the house, but that's okay because it doesn't hold you up because the shingles really should have been done last. The only reason why I'm finishing them is because they started them before the rest of the house. And I'm just like, oh, God. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish them. Cleaning up glue here. So only thing that's a pain in the ass about doing shingles is not having little glue dots and strings all over there. Okay? Yeah, I mean, life is life. That's one of the things. I realized that that's another thing I had to do for myself as far as my magical studies is do as much as I can in the time that I have and not kill myself. Because the reality of the matter is, just like everybody else, you learn magic one spell at a time. You can't know. I mean, you think about the hundreds of thousands of grimoires and magical books that are out here. You can't know everything. But when presented with the information, here, I'll turn it around and show you guys what I've been doing real quick. So I'm really kind of pissed though because there's this little drip, and I tried to sand it and it didn't come through. This is really a cool raspberry color. So I have like this much left to do in shingling and this many shingles left. So I'm a little salty about that. On the inside of the house, and I'll turn around. I'm gonna have to turn this upside down. We got this open concept. So we finished the floors. We've stained them and shellacked them. And so then we'll paint the walls, and then I will put in, and so the shingles are done on this side. I'm going to put in floorboards and probably battery operated lighting. So this is probably the quickest dollhouse I've ever gotten done in my life. And, and that's because don't ever do some shit like this for your dollhouse if you like miniatures. A 4-foot tall, 3-floor dollhouse. Yeah, it's going to take you years. In which it's taking me years. But, you got to do what you got to do. Hi, Xanthia. So, yeah. So, and I'm probably just going to send this to people that ask me crazy ass questions in my inbox. Because I'm just like, I know it's on the website. Because I was very clear about how I wanted it done. And I'm really good about giving instructions. And so I don't like to repeat myself. And so for that reason, some people may be like, oh, she's a bitch. I don't want to deal with her. Well, my mambo is even more strict. And she really doesn't tolerate a lot of foolishness. Does that mean that we don't all make mistakes or miscommunicate? No, it happens. You have to meet people where they are sometime. But when it comes to spending, thank you, Frantera. When it comes to who you're going to take as a student, and my hope is that my students will evolve. So then that means my students may also decide that they want to pursue an ATR. And I would hope that they would want to pursue my house. If I think that you're a great student, I'm definitely, if you're a good person and you are interested, I'm definitely going to refer you to my mambo for a divination, for possible initiation. But if you trifling, dropping bamboo skewers, and you don't read, and you don't do what you're supposed to do, then it's a no from me, And so I need people to understand that it's not about being mean. It's about what everybody has their something. Everybody has their particulars. And what I have found is like with friends, with friendships, and I've had a lot of witch friends who are in personal relationships, is they always are the ones that I have had relationships with before and don't have relationships now, is they tend to be very impulsive. They don't see the forest for the trees. They get offended because, they tell you how much they love you because you're so real. But the minute you get real with them, it's a problem. And I'm the same person, right, wrong, faults, and all. I don't pretend to be somebody else. I'm not online. It's like people actually have come to me and be like, you're just like you are online. I didn't expect you to be this real in real life. And then that's started to make me think, well, wow, there's a lot of people out here, I guess, faking the funk on a lot of things, who they are. And that's the thing I've always wanted, flaws and all, to present myself as I really am. And one of my flaws, one of my pet peeves, one of the things that I deal with often is that I don't have a lot of patience for foolishness. And, I have, as a diviner, as a priestess, learned to be more patient. Learned to sometimes just sit down and wait and see what people are going to do. But sometimes I don't like to do that because I already know what they're going to do. I am a psychic, and it's a pain in the ass. It's really a pain in the ass to be that patient with people when you know what they're going to do before they do it. My daughter used to get mad at me because we'd sit up and we'd watch movies. And I said, see, this is stupid because such and such and such and such and such and such. And she said, Mama, could you stop being a psychic and just watch the goddamn movie? But I don't watch a lot of movies for that reason. Why do I want to look at something predictable? Isn't the reason why we watch these things in the entertainment often the reason we want surprises? We want to be pulled in. I love movies where I'm just in that world for that couple of hours, and it's amazing. But I'm gonna tell you that happens rarely. That is not gonna be a good move. This is too thick. So I'm going to scrape the glue off of it and save this as a top piece. Because there's not, another shingle's not going to fit on top of that. And that's another thing. Like I tell people, work with your hands, especially if you suffer from anxiety, depression, or stress. Because then I can concentrate on something like, which side of the shingle has more character. Or how is the shingle that's going to be placed atop this shingle going to be affected by the shape of this shingle? Those things actually are really large parts of critical thinking. Chess is part of critical thinking. Anticipating your opponent's next move. Magic has a lot to do with that as well. If you don't have the capability to do those things, you may find yourself unsuccessful in your spell work. If you don't have patience, you may find yourself unsuccessful in your spell work. And I don't know about you, but the only reason why I do this work is because it works. Like I said, I was pretty much agnostic. Of course, I've never stopped believing in a creator. I just really wasn't feeling organized religion. And not in the way in which it was organized. I don't like religions that were organized to oppress. So the more I find out about a particular religion, and if it has an oppressive nature, I don't really have a good feeling about it. So, it took me a while. I went through 3 Mambas before I found the third where I was going to initiate. And very, very glad. I think I dodged a bullet on all of them until I came to the right one. But this is not instantaneous work, nor is it work for the lazy. Magic will complicate your life. Things that you have to think about now. You didn't think about taking your shoes off when you come in the house. Warding your house properly. Checking your surroundings to make sure that there isn't someone who unjustifiably or justifiably dislikes you, is not doing things to your premises or you astrally. Thank you. Yes, it's long. I don't know what I'm going to do with it in my old age, but it's not heavy, so it doesn't bother me too much. Very lightweight. As you get older, your hair thins. I'm just sitting here looking at these shingles that I got left, y'all, and I'm sad because this project is about to come to a screeching halt because all I have is a very few amount of shingles, and I don't want this to look raggedy. So I'm going to finish this row out and go on the manufacturer's website. And I'm sure some got wasted, and I'm sure my granddaughter had her hands in here too. So, but just a little salty that I can't finish something. That's another thing that people need to do. And that's one of the things that keeps me from reading another book is I need to finish the first. So many of us are like in the middle of 3 or 4 books. I know I am. And sometimes that cannot be a good distraction. Sometimes that can create problems for you because you never finish. And so, what I'd like to do is I'd like to see people finish things. I like people to take something from one end and carry it through to the other. But if you can't carry my website from one side to the other, I don't think that you're responsible enough for me to teach you. Because Lord forbid, I don't want these people out here in these internet streets cutting a damn fool talking about I was their teacher. Okay? That's not something that I desired. And that's another thing. That's why I started only teaching people of color. because too many of these people get out in the streets and capitalize using their privilege, and they're able to own stores and develop huge websites and sink money into it, talking about their hoodoo practitioner, and they be on some shit and ain't got no ancestral connection to the magic. So when a person has that ability and they go and take one class and they just jump up and now they're a hoodooist, I don't like that with black folks, because I understood it. I studied for 2 years before I really felt like I could be giving any type of classes. And to me, sometimes 2 years ain't enough. You know, it's never enough. Never enough learning. Never, you know, one of the reasons why I do not record Hoodoo 101, 102, 101, any of my classes. We don't record classes. Oral tradition, catch on, catch up, is because every time the class is different. It's tooled to the people that are in there. It's tooled to the level in which they're at, the questions they have, all of that. And so it's really, you know, want to record things. And then recording. Let's talk about how recording has been able to make us really lazy. Because if you got to think about that, back in the days before there was any type of recording device, we had to get it. You know, think about all the trades, blacksmithing and making saddles and farming. If you didn't get it when you were taught it, you failed. You paid for your inattention with failure. We were made to pay attention. Now, I don't have to pay attention. You know, it's just like we don't even value, TV shows aren't anything anymore because TV shows are garbage because they're disposable. But back in the day, you know, you had to go run to the bathroom at commercial and get back. No, I could put this on pause. If you wanted to enjoy something, you had to be in the moment. You couldn't be sitting there on your phone and on your television and bouncing back. I've done this. I've been watching like a home improvement show or watching one of the online classes that I'm taking, my art classes. And then like on my phone for whatever reason, maybe somebody popped up with a message or some shit went down. And that's another thing, this internet shit and these people and they online curses and all this foolishness behind these conventions and stuff like that. Nope. I don't have no time for that. When I stop and add up the hours and the minutes that I have spent talking to people about bullshit that usually eventually blows over, or people just still stay in their feelings about and make decisions as a result thereof, but it's no longer front page news. People forget so quickly. And what I realize is, okay, a year from now, is this going to be a thing? Is this something that I really need to devote my time to? Is this something that I really need to talk about? Or can I just ignore the fuck out of this and get on with whatever I got to do? And so that's some of the stuff, you know, that I had to do. Because all of this stuff, and you have to understand when they talk about the tricks of the enemy, baby, ignorance is the enemy. So anything, you know, these online beefs and people posting long ass posts about somebody else and talking about them and dragging them. I'm always in for a good dragging when it is appropriate. But the reality of the matter is, how long you gonna spend on that? How long and for some people, it's a matter of principle. It's like, we're going to keep talking about it until the problem's solved. And I understand that completely. But, you know, when you're trying to learn stuff, and like I said, I just try to learn new stuff every day as much as I possibly can. You only get certain minutes in a day. You know, I'm 49 years old. I've buried friends before. Something happened. I'm trying to get rid of whatever's popping up on my screen, and I did something. Yeah, I am not gonna have enough shingles for this. This hurts my heart. This makes me mad. Because by rights, I should have enough shingles for this. And I don't know what happened, but when you got other folks working on stuff, I know a lot of shingles went into the garbage, but the ones I put in there were not usable. So, gonna have to get with the manufacturer and get some more shingles. So I've got like, I'll turn this around, show you like this many shingles left, pieces, and this much roof left to do. And see guys why. And see, people don't listen to me. I told my daughter, probably don't want to use the prepackaged shingles. Probably is not going to be enough. Oh, and the guy who's selling the shit to us, there's going to be enough. So, whereas I bought my own, well, the shingles that came with my house were enough, but I dyed my own. So that way I could go to the store and get the shingles that I needed should I not have enough in my package. Can't do that with these. I doubt that very seriously. I'll look, but I doubt if I can go to any craft store and get these shingles because they're made by this particular company. So now I guess I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to go figure out how to order some more shingles and I want to wash my sheets and do something like that for myself. But yeah, I know this sounds like just a rambling video, guys, because I was like, I am not going to take time out of what I'm doing here to make myself happy to make a Facebook Live video about this. But, I'm going to send this to people in the future because it's like that student was like, yeah, I don't think you're the teacher for me. So I was trying to cancel my appointment. Can you let me know how to do it? And I said, I can cancel your appointment. Because like I said, at this point, this stage in the game, I don't think that's the right top for this. But I don't think I have the right top for this. Well, we're going to use this top until I find the right top. Because these things, you do not want the tip to become dry. Because then you can't get to the rest of the adhesive that's in here. I learned that the hard way with a tube of E6000. Oh, is that it? No. Oh, no. That's a tube for E6000. This is the fancy one for this. Very nice. Very nice. I'm going to have to GE silicone if you're ever looking to get a good adhesive for something like what I'm doing here. So, all right. Well, gonna go and find out how to order more shingles. Wait for the floor to dry so I can tape it off and start painting the walls inside the house. And do some more touch-up work on the front. I'm going to have to wait till this front cures to get this drip mark out. I can see that now. It's pissing me off. But that's another thing with magic and with anything, like when painting. I'm looking over here on the side and I'm seeing these drip marks. And I don't know if this is something that is caused by the glue or the paint. So when you're painting something and you're putting anything together, you want to look at it from all sides because you never know. It looks good on one side, and thank you. It looks good on one side, and then on the other, it looks like fuck shit. And then you got to do it over again, which is, inevitable in some things. But, I don't know if I can sand this down and get this bubble out of it, but I'm going to try. And check the rest of the house to make sure that there are no drips, because that just looks like you weren't paying attention. And that's my pet peeve. Pay attention. I see rough edges, and I know I sanded this bad fellow before I started painting it, but I'm still seeing rough edges and little paint mistakes. That would be a delivery. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great day.